If not us, then who? It's time, my friends, once again, for another amazing hour or two of this. What do you know? I'm going to get right into it, folks. Little house music in the background. Minimal house is what they call it. This one is, anyway. It's not going to work. I could turn it up, but I don't know. I don't even know if everybody likes this. I mean, I don't want to play something that people hate. All right, this looks like it might have to do right here. That's not really correct. That's a very tricky situation. What should I do? I'm gonna have to freehand it. Living life dangerously. Matt W. Whoa. The W is for whoa. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Holy Shavitskis. What are you doing, brah? What's shaking? So, what's shaking, Bacon? You ready to rock and roll? You ready to get on a watch list? All right, here we go. What's new in your world, bro? I mean, it's only been 24 hours. I just was checking my email. I got a nice reply by Kai Moros. Muros or Moros? Muros, I guess Muros. Murros. From Finland. A very important revolutionary thinker, writer, speaker. Getting ready to go to the dentist tomorrow and have a tooth yanked. Yay. Fun times. Are they gonna at least dope you up good? Knock you out? At least I will still be pretty. Oh, no, not one of the front teeth. Well, that's good. That's pretty rough to have to get through that. What was I going to say? That blows. Well, instead of having a tooth pulled out, I'm having some parts pulled out of my car tomorrow. I've got appointment with the car doctor to fix this, that, and the other thing. And I'm looking to drop some fucking money on it, which blows ass. But what are you gonna do? So you know that time when basically I think I need I need at least one new tire for sure. I don't know if you can rotate the tires, but there might be some other complications that could be expensive. It's just like, things are going great, you're saving money, and then the fucking car shits the bed, and start all over again. Fucking bitch. When are we gonna get our stimulus check from Savior Trump? Get rid of income tax. I'll just send the bill to Israel, the government of Israel, here with the 300 billion of my tax dollars that you've been embezzling from this country. Pay my car bill. Fucking murderers. Anyway, what else is there to say? Nope, it's already dead. I could rip it out myself. Nasty. That's pretty nasty. I have 3 cars, 2 beaters, and 1. Wow. Well, that's a lot of car insurance, I guess. I have a nice car, but it just needs a tiny bit of like stuff to get done, so it's not very exciting to talk about. Not like a car guy, basically. Limited tort. I don't know what that means, sorry. Torque? When people talk about cars, it's like when people talk about football, I'm like totally lost. I'm like, start using all these like technical words, and I'm like, yeah, me no understand. All right, it means cheapest insurance. There you go. I learned something new. Now I can impress people at parties. So there is an idea that I want to get into, but I sort of want, I'm hoping for more people around so that I can get more input on the idea. But I will launch it with you, my man, and then it'll kind of help me warm up a little bit. You know, sometimes you're like, oh, don't tell your ideas on the internet, you know, because somebody's gonna get an idea. I don't know, they're gonna try to stop you or something. And I'm like, I don't know. To me, that's kind of paranoid. You know, I'd rather get the ideas out. Anyway, so here's the idea. So this concept of community building, you know, I've been writing and reiterating, editing, just trying to figure this shit out. So I'll give you an example. A while ago, I ran into a dude who is the head of like a local ethnic club. You know how you've got like the Polish club, the German club, the Italian club, the Irish club. So he was the head of one of these type of clubs. And I was like, hey, wow, an interesting, well, you know, I have an idea I want to share with you. And he's like, what's that? And I'm like, well, you know how, you know, over the years, people marry and they mingle, and, you know, most of the people, say in my generation and younger, are not just Italian or just Irish or whatever. They're mixed, you know. So like on the one hand, there's that, but then also there's this issue of racial displacement, racial replacement, and we're, you know, we're becoming a minority in our own country. So my idea is to have some kind of pan-European club where all of these different racial clubs have one big club, you know, that they're a part of and or have like affiliation with, or I haven't figured that out yet. That's the point of the conversation, is to try to figure out what would the form of that be, what would the shape of that be. Uh, I would not be selling it as any kind of a white nationalist concept. It's not at all. I'm not going to affiliate or associate that idea with this, even though the topic of, like, white demographic changes, in population, would be part of it. I would be saying, like, looking at the census status from, you know, 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 2010, 5, we're clearly, becoming a minority in our own country. And as such, we're going to lose XYZ, PDQ, blah, 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 fill in the blanks. And this would be, this is why it's this is one of the reasons why it's important to have this kind of organization that is like a pan-European ethnic club, and see if these guys will buy into it. You know what I'm saying? Now, it's really, is it a Trojan horse? Is it, essentially, it's a way of accomplishing that concept that I'm always talking about, of like building community, but this would be using resources that already exist, and as such, it, should be easier in many ways, I think it's a great idea. I think that what we need is some kind of a template, or instruction manual of some kind for the leaders of these organizations, to convince them, like, hey, this is the future of this field, if that makes sense. Like, if you want there to still be an Italian club in 50 years from now, and then you should plug into this bigger club and something. I haven't figured it out yet, which is why I'm asking you guys, or I'm sharing the ideas with you guys. I think you gotta isolate what are their needs. You know what I mean? How does this help them? Pardon me. From my perspective, it's about, how does this help us? You know what I mean? Like, we need to have some form of community, that people can come to without being scared, without feeling like, this is some sort of like political, racial thing that I'm going to get in trouble for. You get my point? It's got to be free of that, because whites are just not going to fucking do that. They're too cocked, and that's obviously a problem. But, trying to uncuck them is far, 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 far harder than this simple idea that I just shared with you. I know for a fact the younger generations are already uncucked and or white nationalist and or ready to rock kind of thing, radicalized by the internet and the political situation that we're in. So they'll already bring that in, they'll just naturally bring that into the sphere, but they need to have a place to go. I think additionally, how do I put this? There's this concept of reconnecting the generations. One of the worst things that has happened to America is that all of the generations are cut off from each other. We kind of, I don't know that, I don't want to say we hate each other or something like that, but it's always like boomers and millennials and Gen Z and this and that, and there's always some kind of like, I don't know, negative talk about the differences between us, which is so fucking unhealthy. Like that really demonstrates the death of continuity, in our culture, and it's wrong. It's wrong. It has to stop. So this is another way to kind of create an environment, or rather, well, hopefully, where people of different generations can meet and share in whatever the thing is. So how would this look? I guess if I have to kind of visualize this. So there's some research I think that I need to do on the topic. I think on a real basic level, these organizations need membership. Like it's like the lower the membership, the worse it is for them. I don't know. Are they getting grants? Or is it donations? Are there like membership fees? You know what I'm saying? But I would imagine that membership is absolutely critical to their organization. Such an organization could also branch out into things like the VFW, the Boy Scouts, churches. You know what I'm saying? Like there could be other. Somehow I could like connect these things. I see it in my mind. I need to basically create like a mind map. You guys know what a mind map is? You know, and then just have it all visually out there because I'm having a really hard time explaining it. That's kind of the way that I think. Like I see, imagine taking a deck of cards and throwing it on the floor. I can look at all of them and see every single one individually and as a whole at the same time. I can see, okay, that's where all the clubs are, that's where all the diamonds are, this is where the sevens are, this is where the fives are. And I just, because I'm a visual learner, I'm visual. So I visualize ideas. But sometimes that I can't get it from my imagination to my mouth. So that's why I'm just sort of jamming out these ideas and sharing them, with friends, not just you guys. But I'm gonna check the chat in a moment here. I feel like it's a funny dynamic here because like we're doing, we're doing the show. We're enjoying each other's company. We got some community going on here, but also I should work. You know what I mean? It's like it's also a work time for me, and I need to stay on task. I get a little sidetracked. So give me a second here. My feeling is that in my sort of experience, kind of like man on the street research, that really most whites do know what's going on, and they're just afraid. They don't know how to talk about it. They don't know how to fix it, and they don't want to be perceived as like racist or whatever because advocating for your own self-interest is clearly racist, right? You know what I'm trying to say. So, so there it is, which is why this idea would really not have any kind of like dissident right, type quality to it per se, other than maybe stating some demographic information. You know what I'm saying? If it's explicitly a racial endeavor, then it'll never get out of the gate. You know what I mean? People will reject it outright. They'll be like, "Oh, I could get sued for this." I mean, that's how the system is. That's where we are. For any assholes out there that don't fucking get it and are like just lurking and listening, like a Fed or somebody, you know, if you don't realize that like the fucking legal system is set up to punish white people for organizing the way I'm discussing, then like just open your fucking mind for fuck's sake, especially if you're white. I mean, don't be a fucking race traitor. There's nothing lower than that. Anyway, what am I saying here? So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with the concept of it, and I'm assuming I'm kind of seeing it like the organization could rotate meetings at the different current locations. So have a meeting, say a meetup or something this week at the Polish Center, next week at the Irish Center, next week at the Italian Center, or the Greek Center, whatever. And or maybe even get like I say VFWs and churches involved. I don't know if a VFW would do that because they're pretty explicitly like military, basically. It's like veterans, obviously. Maybe senior centers. Senior centers are a great place. They're public spaces. And it could engage people more with seniors, give the seniors something to do. That's a whole other kind of a topic. So I'm like thinking in a civil, like not civil, like what's the word I'm looking for? Things that help the community. What am I saying? All right, so you guys are flying. That is a lot of text. Oh boy. Let me take a peekaroonie here. All right, we got someone from Russia. That's cool. It looks like Russian. There's no way I'm going to get through this. Let me just kind of scan. Don't reveal your plans, is the saying. How is the doodly boy? Well, doodly boy is doodling, as you can well see here. I went to a Celtic Renaissance festival, and there were a couple blacks and Asians wearing kilts with their white wives. Diversity is unavoidably everywhere. So, I mean, that's kind of the thing of it, is like, I don't know, I guess, how do I put this? Like, if we do like a purity spiral on this whole thing, I think we're cooked. I think that to some extent there's got to be some kind of tolerance for things like that. Insofar as we are the leaders, and we lead. These are our spaces. I honestly think anyone who's, say, biracial, let's say if there was like a dude that was like half black and half Scottish or something, he's still Scottish. He still has that in him. And I, from a white nationalist point of view, that's like taboo. And I get that, and I'm not looking to have an argument with anyone about it. But on like a standard, Irish club of, of East Junga or whatever, then there's nothing sort of illegitimate about that. I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm looking at the big picture. I'm looking at like how can we start organizing in ways that are going to protect us, because a lot of shit's coming down the pipeline. And if there's some like Irish dude with a Japanese wife, I don't give a fuck. I care more about like how are we going to survive the coming shitstorm. You know what I mean? And like that's what I mean. It's like this kind of purity spiraling shit is what has stopped us from organizing. Everybody disagrees and they get angry, and then no, you're not white nationalist enough, you know. And I'm like, if those are the things we're gonna bicker about, you know, then I just don't think it's gonna work. If you want to do that, then do that in a space where that is appropriate. You know, I don't know how to say this. So, like an organization that is exclusively white, a white space, those people have the full right to do that. That's their space. But I'm not talking about those kind of spaces. I'm talking about spaces where normies go, if that makes sense. So that's what I got to say on that. Insurance payment. Hello to the friends in the channel. Hello to Oliver. Great to have you back. And just reading through the chat a little bit. Matt got me through this. Ellie Phillips' YouTube channel has good. Oh, that's in there. You guys are talking about teeth. Okay, like Virginia Biological. Okay, this. I love posters. Journey. Okay, the Pan-European Historical Heritage Association. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like that sounds nice. Yeah, that just rolls right off the tongue right there. You know what I mean? That's like, oh wow, I want to go to that museum. You know, that sounds cool. And it doesn't. It's not. How do I say? It makes sense that it's pan-European. It's like, okay, this is all these different European countries that whatever this and that. You know, so yeah, I do think this is a viable concept. Donald's drop in. What are we talking about? Yeah, we're having an evening chat. Noster is the distributed version of Twitter Jack D. I don't know what that is. Art like stuff close to. Problem is that half black, half Scottish guys, kids that play with ours, crust have that. So, you know, again, down the rabbit hole. So, like, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. But that's not actually the topic of conversation, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, it's about forming some kind of space where we can go, you know, when the shit hits the fan. Do you understand? And I don't know, like, how do I put it? Like, our guys, eventually you're gonna know, like, oh, you know, I was at this heritage club something, and you know, I'm getting to know people, friends, events, this and that, and I know a bunch of dudes in there that are like really far right. Oh, that's cool, you know, and so it's just a kind of a natural cultural environment in which we can meet. The environment isn't sort of made for us per se, because it is actually. It's just not openly political. Does this make sense? You guys understand what I'm trying to say? So the stuff about like you know, biracial people or other type of topics like that, I think I'm sensitive to those topics, but I just again I'm trying to present a whole new outside the box concept. You know what I mean? We've had, you know, NJP, we've had all kinds of different organizations over the years. And, you know, tragically, a lot of these organizations fell apart for one reason or another. I don't know why, I can't say, but I'm sure there's reasons. Whereas, like, you know, the local yokel Italian club has been around for decades. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, well, why don't we plug into establishments that already exist? You see how that makes sense? You see how that makes sense? So that's pretty much what I'm trying to say here. Um, I think it was like Gavin McInnes who said something like when he started the Proud Boys, he was like, there's no men's organizations anymore. You used to have the Elks, and you've got, of course, you've got like the, what do you call the fucking thing? Knights of Columbus and the stuff that your dad and your uncle went to. And then the question is like, well, what do we have? So I guess the thinking is along those lines. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that's it. I mean, that's the bulk of it. So I suppose the thinking would be then like to say maybe set that up, and then once it's set up, then advertise it to our people. You know what I mean? To it's in a sense backwards. Where it's like we're not going to start out. I wouldn't start out saying, I don't know, I'm going to get on Red Ice Radio or like on this and that kind of podcast and try to advertise the idea, sell the idea, but rather to sell the idea to these people who run these organizations, and then once it's hooked up, then say, hey guys, come on down. Like here we got a thing, like let's just walk in, and I don't know. What do you think of that? That's kind of the question here. That's like what I'm getting at, Okay, what do we got? Ethnat atheist. I kind of get it, sort of. Okay, so that's the whole point. Is that the idea itself is like it's just a big lump of clay. I'm trying to formulate. I'm trying to like, get it tighter, so to speak. This is yeah. I don't think being stealthy is gonna work, buddy. Being straightforward about rules will be better in the long run. Maybe that's the Aries in the chart. So, okay, that's a legit thing to say. Like, okay, noted. I will say that is your point is noted. I think at the end of the day, if I'm able to present this idea to these different organizations, I do have to somehow, to some extent, say like, look, there's something racial about this. I mean, maybe I don't want to say racial. Probably I want to say ethnic. Like what's going to happen to the Poles and the Germans and the Irish and the Italians if we don't do this? And then they'll go, wow, our country is being blasted with foreigners. There's no sign of that stopping. So if we conglomerate as one demographic under European, like European Americans, which is a very palatable term, although it's kind of offensive in a way. You see where I'm going? Like that's. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Reading on, I kind of get it. When we ensure the existence of our people and then a future for our children, then we can talk about purity all they want. Right now, just keep your eyes on the prize. Yeah, let's win first, and then we'll have the luxury of having these disagreements. I'm not good at grooming mixed normies into being racialist. I don't know, man. Yeah, dude, it's not easy. I mean, it's like, it's not something you personally would have to do. I mean, this is a project that I'm working on. But what else? What do we got? I'm not good at it. Richard Williams is here. Good evening from Ireland. Welcome. Wow. I've been talking a lot with some Irish friends, and shit is hitting the fan in Ireland. I feel like the people are ready to do a full-blown revolt against their government. It's pretty hot and heavy right now. And the thing I love about the Irish is how much they know about their own history and how they know about like the struggles that they had for their freedom in the past. And then they reference that in their current situation, and they're saying, we're Irish. We did this thing. This is our history. We fought for this freedom, and we're not fucking giving it up. What's his? I forget. Conor McGregor, the MMA dude or whatever. He's like, the political leaders who do these things, you will have nowhere to run to. You will have nowhere to hide. That's the language we need, guys. That's the language we need. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I mean, ultimately, it's a fight against the government, And then I had this recent thought about, like, what does the phrase go? It's something like, to kill something, you starve it. And that struck me like, if there's a way to starve the financial resources of mass immigration, that would be the, not only a non-violent way to do it, but probably the best way to ensure that it's over. Because, like, fighting in the streets or whatever is just not really, that doesn't have, like, the best success rate in the overall, and a lot of people get hurt and all this other shit. You know what I'm saying? So, whereas if somehow or other, you can cut off the funding or the food or the phones or whatever, get into that kind of thinking, that's going to be part of it's going to be part of this struggle, And what happens in Ireland will be an example to the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? We'll see. We're going to see how this plays out. Richard, yeah, everyone watched the Tucker interview. Ethnicist white, anti-whites have no problem stoking racialist thinking in mixed-race individuals. I think it's foolish for us not to do the same. Okay, hold on. Anti-whites have no problem stoking racialist things in mixed. So, I mean, how do I put this? Like, would you rather have another enemy or an ally? You see what I'm saying? So, like, biracial people, I believe, could be allies if we treated them as such. If we gave them a platform or an a something, a badge, or I don't know, something. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised at how many blacks that I see out there doing, like, TikToks and shit against Carmelo, the black kid that stabbed the white kid recently. They're like, I mean, these black people a lot of them they're like, or at least in my algorithm, they're like, white people are going to fucking revolt. They're going to rise up and they're going to revolt. They've had enough of this shit. This is just George Floyd 2.0. It's a fucking psyop. It's going down, and I don't support this. I'm against this, blah, 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 blah. No, I'm not saying let's integrate. No, that's not what I mean. But as the shit gets hotter and hotter and hotter, we don't have any kind of, for starters, we have no representation in the media. But, like, I just feel as if we should kind of organize as, like, almost like we're a government, like we're a foreign government, and that, like, here are our policies on these things. Not that I'm a groiper, but Nick Fuentes does talk through a lot of that kind of stuff. He does. He has, if you follow him enough, you'll see that he thinks through that stuff, and he makes commentary on those things. Like, if you want to be an ally or this or that, it's cool, this and that, but we need our country back. We need, a home for our people, 1488, all of that stuff. And there's nothing abnormal or wrong or racist about that at all. And we're not going to apologize for that. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we just automatically hate everybody, who's not white. That's like a cartoon version. it's so complicated, and like, I don't know. I mean, I mean, I shit lord all day, every day. You know, I'm out there all day, every day, dropping, spicy memes all day. And this stuff stokes a lot of racial animosity, as it should, because we need to get whites angry. Whites have to get angry. And I'm angry, and I'm expressing that. But again, it's a cartoon reality to think that the whole thing is cut and dry. This might not be what people want to hear. Maybe they're gonna like shut down and be like, fuck that. I want to hear that. I want to hear someone who says what I want to hear. But again, my whole thing is just try to win this shit. And I feel like being as realistic about it as we can is probably the right way forward. Again, instead of like the infighting and the purity spiraling and that kind of stuff. But I don't have the answers either, too. I'm still struggling to find those, which is why I'm having these conversations with you guys. I want to get your input, and I respect your views. Everyone here is awesome. So, like, that's even better, You're around a bunch of intelligent people. Okay. All right. It's so fucked up. I turned my heat down like hours ago, and it's still blazing in here. Hold on. Ay. Blazing. Blazing saddles. I'll be right back. I think another, how do I put this? Another reason to back up this new approach is that nothing we've done has really gone mainstream so far. So I guess I'm just trying to think of a new approach. What already exists in the mainstream that's the kind of low-hanging fruit, so to speak, like a platform that we could land on softly. And to me, it's these ethnic clubs. They already exist. The problem is, and they know it, that they're all getting old and dying off, and these clubs are going to disappear, So if they don't get new people in there, then it's the end, And they don't want that. So someone like me comes along, hey guys, I got this idea, and then try to have it written out really, really clearly so that, almost in like a manual of some kind, where people can see like, oh, that's how it works. I get it, I see how that benefits us or the group or what have you, All right, Anton, I read that there is a live protest Saturday in Dublin. Right, I'm aware of that. This is going to be a big one. It's going to be a hot one. There's probably going to be a lot of violence at that protest, I'm assuming. I would say be careful, obviously, right? Oliver says to say that non-association with mixed or ethnics is purity spiraling. or that it wouldn't work is silly. Frankly, almost all other ethnicities do exactly that, especially ones in the Levant. All right, so point taken. I guess you know what I want to do? Maybe I can try this out. I'm actually going to kind of like sketch out my ideas as we talk about them. This could be kind of interesting. See what happens. Let's see what happens. I need a proper pen of some kind. That's not good. All right, let's say I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm just going to have fun with this. I don't know. There's no up and down to this, but let's say this is the dissident right. Okay, this is the DR, right? And you know, I don't know how many factions there are, but you know, let's just say that there's like a pie chart of like, you know, there's this many people in this part of it, and there's this many people in that part, and you know, you might have the Nick Fuentes here, and then you got the Joel Davis over there, and you got Richard Spencer over here, or whatever, right? So here we are. But there's a kind of, you know, like wall between us and the fucking mainstream world. You know what I mean? And that being the case, here we are fighting with each other, you know, well, no, my way, no, my way, no, my way. And there's a lot of like cult of personality or saviorism, you know, if, you know, like one person's going to rise up and solve this. And meanwhile, if we were smart enough and capable enough to combine all of our numbers together and not infight, this would be a legitimate power. This would be a legitimate force. All of our resources, our financially, our skill sets, our time, our energy, this right here would be a real thing. But instead, we're fighting over like all of these things, you know, and I'm not going to argue those things. I'm not going to engage in that cesspool of like black, white, red, green, yes, no, up and down, blah, 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 blah. It's not fucking helping. And we're doing that until we die. Okay, we are the fucking dissident right. We're the only ones that know what's really going on. We're the only ones that are trying to save the white race. So why in the fuck are we fighting with each other? Let's win first, and then you can go and spread out into the, you know, the Christians and the atheists and the Buddhists and the who knows is what's is. You know, you can have all your little clubs. So while this shit's going on, I'm here, you know, looking over the wall, trying to see like what the fuck's going on. Look at this amazing man I just drew, and I'm like, what's going on over here? So over here now you've got, you know, you've got, I don't know what do we want to call it? It's kind of like you got these different sections here. So let's say in here maybe you got like Candace Owens. You've got fucking Jake Shields. Who else? Help me out here. You got Yee, Kanye. You got who's the guy? Oh fuck! Here we go with the goddamn names again. I can see his fucking face. He's got a big nose. Motherfucker. Anyway, there's a couple of our guys here. They're not really our guys. They are semi-mainstream people that talk about our talking points. Let's just call that Group A. I don't even know what to call them. These people name the Jew. Okay, they name the Jew. So whoever they are, and I'm pissing myself because I can't remember all the people, but you know, there's a bunch. There's a lot of like MMA podcasters. There's people that are grifting. You know, they're kind of grifting on this. Now they get all their talking points from us. You see, it's just that they have millions of followers and a name and all that shit. Then you've got the kind of the gatekeepers. You've got the fake right. Tim Pool, yay, Tim Pool. Who's the guy with the big gums? Kirk something Kirk. His fucking name. He's got like a real small face with huge gums. He toured with Candace Owens. What's his fucking name? I know Hippocratic Oath is probably writing the names. Charlie Kirk, yeah. So you might even put like Infowars in here, maybe. You know what I mean? These people are gatekeepers. They do not name the Jew. Okay, so there's a big problem here between these two fields, right? This is a bridge, though. This is a really, really, really important bridge on the Overton window, on the political spectrum, right? So we got a lot of assholes in here, fuckheads. There's definitely going to be some Jews in here, obviously. You might have like BAP, you might have like whatever, these fuckers. Intellectual dark web. Yeah, Eric Weinstein is an excellent fucking call right there. You know how it goes. And then now we're kind of getting more into sort of, the kind of like, let's say Trump, which would be like Fox News, Dan Bongino, like, all of there's like these kind of like superstar personality types of like blonde women that like give the news and take questions from the press and all that faggotry, right? Like so this is very much the Jewish right. It's that, right? This is hidden, it's kind of like can't see it, but here it's you can see it. It's pro-Israel, openly pro-Israel, right? Here it's just gatekeeping. And then of course the left is the left, and they're kind of like not really relevant anymore. The Democrat Party, it's imploding, etc. So our people are here. We have our, we've got Substack, we've got Telegram, we have different places that you might have like Goyim TV. Used to be that BitChute was really huge. We have all these kind of different, whatever, all of these different resources, maybe Twitter to some extent, although that's kind of iffy. Whereas like over here, these people are still on the Facebook farm. You know what I'm saying? In fact, I would even say to some extent that leans heavily into there. But so that's the media scope of generally of these people. So somewhere in here, there are already organizations like the ones that I was talking about, where you've got you got the Irish, you got the Italian, you got the Polish. There's little houses here where you got Greek, maybe some kind of Slavic, Ukrainian, French. I don't know. These are all these little ethnic clubs, and all they're doing is like, oh, St. Patrick Day parade, hee hee hee, and oh, let's, this is St. Stanislav something, and at this church, or there's the Greek food festival on that main street in the city, and they just do community stuff, But they are communities, they're real communities. They've got people from those countries that are learning English and shit that kind of like live in here. You see what I mean? So this is kind of where I'm going with this, is like, of all of this shit over here, these people are the most approachable. There's no wall there. You see what I'm saying? Does that make any sense? That's all I'm fucking saying today. That's all I'm trying to fucking say. I agree with like 90% or 95% of what most people, all of our normal talking points, right? You guys already know that, I think. But I'm like, since it's not working, and or we're like ghettoized outside the wall here, then how the fuck do we get in? You know, well, it just seems to me like that's the low hanging fruit right there. But if we go in there like, yay, we're a bunch of fucking Nazis, let's like take over, and then they're not gonna let us in, right? They're not gonna buy that, right? But if we come in like, hey, let's do a pan-European, uh, heritage American thing, because times are changing. We got immigration. Now, these people, they know about immigration, right, from here, right, from Fox and from the gatekeepers. Yeah, immigration's a problem. Oh, well, how are you going to, like, protect your culture and your children and your future? How are you going to carry on your future? Individually. Well, by conglomerating as one whole group. You see, conglomerating into that pan-European heritage American thing. And again, I haven't come up with like language for this stuff yet. Does this infographic explain my point? You guys get it? And what's wrong with it? And when I say what's wrong with it, do not go down the rabbit hole. I don't want to hear that. I know that. I've lived in that for like 9 years. I know all the talking points. What I'm saying is what's wrong with this whole thing. You get my point? If you really think this is not going to work, tell me and tell me why. All right. I forgot if I learned to type. I'm going to go back now and check out Lucas Gage. There's on the left. Ann Coulter. So that's kind of the cool thing about it, is that because we're in the dissident right, we got the brains, we got the minds, we've got the eyes. We know who's who. We know who is paying for who. Oh yeah, Ian Carroll. I can't forget Ian Carroll. Maybe even Whitney Webb to some extent. I don't know. Maybe Whitney Webb. I could pop that in there maybe. Anyway, we know where the Jew is, basically. Let's just put it that way. So that being the case, when and if I'm able to pull this shit off, or we're able to pull this off, we can put our people in positions of power in this organization. Aha, now you're thinking. Now you're thinking. Okay? And we'll be our own gatekeepers for that shit. We're going to keep these fuckers out. We're going to keep these fuckers out. You see what I mean? Now, that's hard to that's very abstract and very hypothetical, so I don't really know how that'll, but at least we'll be there to stop it from happening if we can. Yeah, Lucas Gage, of course, that's definitely a huge one. Lucas Gage is friends with Cultured Thug. I could actually have Lucas Gage on my show. If I want to have like 10,000 pizzas delivered to my place or something. But anyway, all right, so I'm going to let you guys digest that, just kind of chew on it, think about it. Don't be afraid to, like, you're not going to offend me or anything. I care about us, I care about our people, I care about our survival. If something is faulty or not going to work in here, then you're saving me, you're helping me by like pointing it out, because that's, more heads, or two heads better than one kind of thing. All right, Robert Pyle says just be white and we should be able to get in those ethnic clubs. We don't have to tell anyone. That's my point that I brought up earlier, is we're not being explicitly white nationalist about this. No, Whitney Webb, she's not our friend. Really, I didn't know that. Going to order you a pizza. Yeah. Yes, I do like anchovies, believe it or not. I'm one of those guys. Matt W says, also keep in mind there are free carpenters in these clubs, and they will soft block us from having any sort of power unless we join their cult. Oh, you're talking about Freemasons. There's Freemasons in these ethnic clubs. You know what? That's fascinating. That's fascinating. I can see that. I don't know enough about it yet, but I could easily see that. And that would, so this, what you just said would go into the instruction manual for this. Would be like, be aware of this element, like find who are the Freemasons in these ethnic groups, and and then come up with a strategy on how that's going to work or play out. Good point. Good point. Let's see. Now that was a good call right there. All right. While you're chewing on that, I am going to get back to work here. So, but that helped me forcing me to go through that explanation. Basically, puts me in a place where, like, okay, this is going to be easier to explain to anyone that I want to collaborate with on this. Okay. Alrighty. And away we go. Freemasons, yeah, tiny hats, white traders. So, Kai Moros got back to me. That was cool. I sent him a link to the show with Cultured Thug. Cultured Thug had him on his show, I guess, at some point, and he wrote a book about Kai Moros. So Kai is a very close friend and just a lovely human being. I have a great deal of affection for him. So we're going to do a catch-up, probably like a video call or something at some point soon. And he's really excited about stuff like this, like trying to figure it out, trying to formulate some kind of activism that works, But I think if we're out in the open, you know what I'm saying, it's going to backfire. Funky donkey. Let's see, read something here. Jason Giorgiani didn't make it into the grid. Which grid is that you speak of? Did not make it into the grid. Hippocratic Oath, were you here last night when I was talking about the at the very end of the show, I was talking about this remote viewer that came out. They did a task to remote view reincarnation. Were you here when I did that? I mean, you can just go see it, on like last night's show or whatever. But very heavy stuff. And I put the link in our group as well. Matt says, I'm not even worried about the juice anymore. It's our own hurt as us that it's our own that hurt us the most. Pyle says, maybe we could start our own ethnic clubs, model them on the ones that already exist. That's an idea. Jason is bronze right now, no pro white. Oh, interesting. Yeah, he left. He left. He's. I think he has a kind of a bitterness. But at the same time, like, here's a guy that was offered I don't know how to put this even, like, he was offered to own the entire oil industry of Venezuela. And, he has ties with Mossad. So, like, you see do you see the red flags? You know, um, golly, and I love him. I love the guy. I mean, I still think he's like one of the greatest minds of our time. But for whatever reason, he turned on the alt right and all that. So um, he was the victim of one of these like hidden camera exposés where he was with like a student or something that had a hidden camera on him or her, I don't know. And they got into some heavy political discussion, and then the conversation was edited in such a way as to make him sound like he was saying something that was much harsher than what he meant if you had seen it in context. And then being a New York City, philosophy professor, he immediately got fired for that. Because they're fucking Marxists. I mean, it's like you know they're Marxists. It's political persecution, but they're like, oh no, they're liberal. No, 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 no. That's just code for Marxist. I don't know. It just blows my mind that like Marxism has free reign in American intellectual institutions. It's just free reign. It's like it's the what's the word, like it's the default setting. And Marxism is the fucking default setting. I think I mentioned to you about that dude that I met uh, the other day. He looks like Luke Mason. He's a philosophy professor that can't find a job, and he's whatever. We're just talking something, and we just met, and so like straight out of the gate, he had to kind of like do like Marxist apologetics. You know what I mean by that. And I'm like, dude, don't even fucking start. Like, just shut up. You don't have to do any of that. I'm far right. I'm not. Like don't try to like just stop. You don't need to do that. I'm not that guy. And then he knew about my educational background, and we were able to kind of connect on like what's it like to be a straight white male in education, as a teacher, and how dangerous that is. Anyway, and there it is. And there you go. Um, haven't watched the video yet. I'm planning on. Okay, Daz Smith follow JFK on the other side. Very interesting. I don't know what DAZ Smith. I'm missing. I don't understand what you're saying there. Matt W says, I don't like the far right futurists. I get homo vibes from them, and they usually bronze nons, possibly. Hey, Splattercat. Jason Giorgiani is claiming that Persia invented Second Temple Judaism through Cyrus the Great. I wasn't there, so anyway. Radical ideal. Yeah, I think I came across that recently. I think I heard something like that. So, I mean, is that just Jason making up something to kind of justify his relationship with Israel? Do you see what I'm trying to say here? Like, is that some kind of an out or something? Or is that wackadoo? I don't know. Wackadoo. Um, what am I saying? Why can't the Bronze Nas boys just got do nods things in their own lands? I'd support that, but no, stay in the West and teach Whitey about Persian esoterica. Or we could go directly after the beast and petition to have Noahide laws removed from our laws. So that's was that's my original approach. Is like when years ago, so, you just opened up a fucking can of worms right there. Okay, back in like 2017 ish, I tried to get into my local Republican Party as me, as me, and I created this document that I sent the PDF to all of the major local politicians, saying, hi, introduce myself, you know, I want to start these patriot conventions, and it would be a great way for people to. It'd be a great way for you to get people to sign up to become Republicans, and meet and greet and questions and Q&As and cultural events and vendors and music and food and kids, and like, this is just a winning, excellent idea. And like, some of the big ones got back to me, and they're like, "Oh my God, we love this. Is fantastic, and I look forward to seeing you at the local meetup on the 10th or whatever." So I'm jazzed. I'm pumped. This is the thing that I went and I saw Steve Bannon with, and he was behind it, and the whole thing was going somewhere. Anyway, inside the document, I had, like, as a part of this Patriot Convention thingy organization, let's I how do I say this? I don't know how to phrase this, but in some way I was saying that every Republican politician must openly denounce foreign laws inside America, namely Sharia law and Noahide law. There is only one fucking law, the grand law, which is the Constitution, and that we will not allow foreign laws to exist in our country. Well, that was my undoing. When I did that, the the local mayor, he's fucking ex FBI, okay, and his wife is like very weirdly involved in his job, and she's one of these like Hellcat bitches, these like super ugly Karen type bitches, and I attended that meeting, and I met like some local and state politicians, big dogs, big wigs for the state, and you know, I'm kind of doing the rounds. Hey, hi, this is me, and I'm the guy that sent you that thing. And oh, wow, yeah, that's really cool. You know, keep me in the loop, And then they went on to like shaking hands and kissing babies or whatever. And then I got to, well, the wife of the mayor came up and gave me a really, really hard shutdown. I can't remember 100% like exactly what she said to me, but she was like, very much like, you know, get out of here, kind of like, we're not doing this. This is bad. I don't fucking remember. I'm sorry, but I mean, I was so shocked at the time that I was kind of like, I was so jolted by it. It's probably why I don't remember like what she said exactly. I remember her ugly goddamn face, and I remember thinking like, holy shit, like she just like threatened me, and then being like, now what do I do? Wow, what the fuck do I do? And I'm still angry about it, as you can obviously see. But that was a massive kick in the fucking face, telling me like, no, like, Republicans are not on your side. and you can't go through mainstream politics for this. But that doesn't mean we should stop. You know what I'm saying? We still have to make some kind of effort to like get these messages across. And I think that if for example I'm able to do this thing that I've been talking about, that I once I have some leverage and a foothold or what have you, that would be the time to go in there and say, like, we as the such and such organization want to, it's President's Day, and we want to make a statement that the Constitution is the highest law in the land. Therefore, Noahide law, Sharia law must be banned, and we're making a statement about it. And then the news, local news, can come and do a story on. I don't know, but you see how I'm thinking here. I'm just thinking. Moving on. Hypocrite vote, or we could go to pray that. Yeah, haha. Yeah, I bet those rats loved you. Yeah, it was ugly. The sad thing is there were some really cool people, and the cool ones were the ones that got like at the next Republican voting cycle, they all got voted out. Once this like FBI guy got in this position or whatever, somehow magically all the good Republicans got voted out. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's the usual bullshit. Democracy is just ass. It's nothing but ass. It's just stinky ass. I hate democracy. It's for idiots. It's fucking retards. You don't understand voting. I don't take advice from idiots. You don't understand voting. I can't believe that. But it's okay. Most people are brainwashed, and don't be angry at them. I don't know. One thing I guess I do have to say is, like, I don't like people dumber than me trying to like insult me and tell me that I'm dumb or put me down. I'm like, I could like squish you like a bug. But that's a thing that happens. Anyway, what else have we got? Maybe I'll change the music. How about shut up? Come on. So yeah, okay. So I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I was talking to Hippocratic Oath a moment ago about the thing that's on last night's show. After I turn off this commercial. All right, I'll back up. I've got the videos in our group. I forget the guy's name, but I followed him years ago. He's a remote viewer, and he's a legit, works for some organization. They have a website. You can purchase their services, or you can train. You pay to learn how to become a remote viewer. Blah blah blah. And when you hear the guy and you listen to him, you realize like this guy is so much more. He's like very very professional. He's not like some weirdo. He's not like that guy with all the black people in his group. I forget his name. Starlink. He's kind of creepy, sweaty dude. That just it's a thing. Anyway, I'm way off track. So this other guy, years ago, I was following him, and out of the blue, he posts a video saying, "This is going to be my last video," and then he goes on to explain how he was visited by these men in black, who I think he thought that they might have been aliens actually, but they looked human. Anyway, they threatened his life. And it was like, I'm done. I'm not doing remote viewing anymore. And I was really, really shocked. Like, I discovered his channel, and subscribe and a following, and and then that video, then he posts that one. I'm like, fuck, whoa. That's one of the reasons why I never really got into doing remote viewing, is because now they can whack you. If you learn too much, you know too much, or an organization that is against the organization you're in finds out that you found out, you can get whacked. So anyway, so the mission was to. It's called moksha. Now, moksha is like a Buddhist term for the process of escaping reincarnation. And so we're going to go there. If you guys don't like the conversation, you can have a good night, and I'll see you next time. But remote viewing is very, very objective. They don't know what they're remote viewing, they're just given a task. And then there was I think in his particular group, there were 4 remote viewers. And, they work individually and they gather intel. So, what they were doing is describing an after death environment where souls are essentially harvested for energy and then recycled back down into earth. And all of this is Gnosticism. I've been talking about Gnosticism and astral projection and all this kind of stuff for quite a while now. So it's not like a new thing to this channel. Now there is remote viewing proof of the Gnostic cosmological view of life and death. And that's what I'm trying to say. That is enormous. That's enormous, enormous, enormous. Yes, I can see how that would challenge. In fact, the guy that posted the video, he said that this was actually taken down from the remote viewer's site because people were so upset about it, and there were so many complaints about the video that he actually took it fucking down. And then this other podcaster dude was like, but this is really important information the public needs to know, and so I'm sharing it here. So once again, that link is in my group, and I would urge everybody to set aside some time to watch it. It's disturbing. It's not the pretty vision of what we were taught in Sunday school. But again, like, if you've been following me and my research, none of this stuff should really be a shock to you. And it kind of backs up the whole reason why we need to understand these things and take an interest in our souls, our soul health, where we're going in the next world and all that stuff. A lot of us don't even really think about that. We're just thinking about what's happening now. Like, it's daunting enough to try to figure out how to save the white race, let alone, the afterlife. So, like, I get it. It's a matter of my personal interest for me. So I don't know, if it's not something you're really interested in, that's fine. Whatever. Do your thing. You do you. But I would say, as far as that topic is concerned, that it's probably the most interesting thing that I've ever come across. Be very interesting to see what Jason Giorgiani has to say about that. Enough commercial talk, time for music. So that's all I wanted to say. This is not the music anymore out there. Should I go back to Pink Floyd? Oh, the noir jazz is good. Let me do some noir jazz. It's kind of dark. The biggest thing we can do is simply help and support our downtrodden brothers and sisters do business with our own folk. There are subtle and not so subtle ways of sharing racial identity. Brett Stewart. Brett Stewart, thank you. Thank you. Hypocritical for the win, one more time. Tried Cats, Candace, aware of Noah Hyde. Is Candace aware of Noah Hyde? She's got to be, right? Oh, yeah. Okay, I see. All right, very good. Biggest is sharing our ideas. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of part and parcel for what we do just on a daily basis, you know. But I'm thinking bigger, you know. I'm also thinking in terms of like, you know, economic collapse, World War III, you know, foreign invasion, you know, like pandemic. You know what I mean? Like if there were some really okay. How many times recently have we seen that the government doesn't help people who have like a natural disaster? Hello. Okay. So this is kind of what I'm talking about is like if these, you know, we're in these communities, perhaps maybe we can help each other out in these type of situations, etc. You're talking about networking. Yes. I mean, there's a lot. So my feeling is that these organizations already exist and could be platforms for us to get our ideas to our people and people who are already ethnically aware, who already care about their ethnicity and have ethnic identity. Does that make sense? Um, which I think is easier to reach than people who don't have any sense of that, you know? Yeah. When the shit hits the fan, everything that can go wrong will go wrong, most likely, I know. Yes, that is a huge problem for the dissident, right? Okay. Something to think about, right? Things that make you go, indeed. Um, all right, for now, I think I'm going to stop on that page. What time is it? Yeah, feels like that. So I hope I don't. And maybe this music is bringing everyone down. Maybe we should put some Dead Kennedys on or something. Pick it up. Some punk rock going. You know what I've noticed tonight is it's only been our guys. Like we haven't gotten anybody from foreign countries, and manga fans. Anyway, I gotta put something a little more fun than this. What is good high energy music? All right, we're gonna do Holiday in Cambodia. Because that jazz is just bleh, All right, here we go, my friends. Pick it up. All right, so I guess the idea is, I don't know. Is it like jarring or weird or negative, or are you like, oh, that'll never work, or like what kind of instinct are you guys getting from this idea? Is it more like, well, I need to know more, can't really decide? What's your general feeling about this idea? Some Fash Wave. There you go, you fucker. Of course. Fash Wave. What the hell was I thinking? I've got actually a pretty nice little Fash Wave playlist at my YouTube, so I'm going to pop that on. Thank you. All right, Robert Pyle for the win. Woohoo. All right. Playlist. Fash Wave. Where are you? This is my workout playlist. And it's going to get nasty. Depending on how loud I play it, I guess. Which won't be super loud, but anyway. All right. All kids out of the pool. Adult Swim. That's funny. That's pretty funny. Okay. Splattercat removed all the kitties. Kitties turned the pool yellow. Oh my god, dude. Atheist says, summarize your idea if you would. I'll see if it gets the eighth approval. Well, what I'm going to do is back out of this for a sec. I'm going to kind of write it out. And, like, for me, one of my ways of doing things is I write, oh shit, I just remembered something really important I have to do. When I write out my ideas, they're just easier to understand for everybody, I'm like a really abstract thinker. I have like multiple things going on in my head at any given time. And although I understand it, it's not necessarily easy to explain. Because frankly, like the thing is hypothetical for starters, right? So, there's that. Then there's the notion of, and then you could do this, and then you could add that, and then you could add that, and then you could add that. There's all these add-ons that I would have to think through. Like, is it overcomplicating the thing? Is it gonna work or not? Blah blah blah. I love this song. It's so fucking cool. It's like, it's so nice to see Kyle to this song. It feels so good. Okay, what's next here? I'm a non-creative. You'll have to forgive me. That's fine, buddy. I was gone for 30 minutes. He's still drawing. I would actually, I might go a little later tonight. So one way to approach things like this idea is to try to visualize like a best case scenario. Be like, best case scenario, you're in your local town. I don't know. It's a Wednesday night, and you're going into the culture center to meet up with the community there, which could have hundreds of people, frankly. And you're going in tonight because someone's doing a presentation on homesteading or Bitcoin or German language or history or something that is valuable, and cultural. It could even be, I don't know, but anyway, it's somehow useful, cultural, enjoyable, and then I don't know, news hits that Trump is starting the whatever coin shit thing that he's going to start, where you have to switch over to CBDB coins, whatever, and now your bank account and this and that, and then everyone's panicking because they're like, well, what do we do? How do we handle this? What do we do? Well, now you have a community of people who are all going through the thing together, except that our guys are in that community, and we go to our resources. We find out what it is, how to handle it, whatever the case might be, and then we come back to said organization in your town and say, okay, here's the plan. Put it up at the website, say like, okay, this is the alternative to doing that thing that is going against our liberties, and this is how we opt out and or create like our own kind of society. It's kind of like us being, I don't want to compare it to the Amish or whatever, because that's obviously a whole extreme, but you know how the Amish are their own fucking community, and they take care of their needs. They have everything they need. They're self-sufficient. To make a self-sufficient culture, do you get it? You see, that's not super abstract. That's not really hard to understand. But the question is how, and also how to put our guys in positions of power in that system. So that's pretty much what I'm talking about, bro. Um, that's sort of like a snapshot of like what this could or should look like in terms of like how would it actually help anybody, you know? Um, yeah. And that's just one of like many examples I could give. You know, there could be other ones where you have like martial arts classes or classes on how to get your gun license, or you know, things for raising children, educational resources. The sky's the limit. You know, the sky's the limit. But it's about having our people in one place looking after our people. Does that make sense? Right? And I think this has always been our dream. You know, it's always been our dream to have that kind of sort of utopia in a way. Um, you know, would it be easy? Would it be hard? What would the limitations be? I don't know those things, you know. I'm just trying to think through how can we get started? You know, how could this be, how could this actually happen, you know? Because right now everything is just scrolling, shit, Lord, shit, Lord, memes. It's like, where's reality? You know, we're all virtual. I think you know what I'm trying to say. I mean, I'm not trying to diss the culture or whatever, but these are truths, though, right? So there you go, and now you know. Let me read some things. Hippocratic Oath says Jason Giorgiani recounts Phil's near-death experience. Phil who? Phil. Is this somebody I was speaking? Is that? No, wait a second. I'm scrolling back up, and it's not Brett Stewart. Phil who? On the Jeff Mara podcast. Phil woke up on a purple beach surrounded by bodies, and alien craft flew by harvesting the soul energy. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that sounds almost more like a conversation just for you and me. You know, I don't know if anybody else is interested in it. The bodies then woke up and walked to a black hole on the horizon and killed themselves. Fuck. You know, fuck. Whoa. Holy fucking shit. You know. Um, it's terrifying, this whole Gnostic world that we're living in. You know, this is part of the experience of learning or trying to learn, what do you call it, astral projection. I came across some people online that claimed to have done it, and one guy in particular had some extraordinary experiences that he was sharing. But the thing is, they were saying things that most people don't say, which is that it's dangerous and that you will encounter demons when you do astral projection. These so-called demons are the archons. They're the ones that don't want you to escape the soul reincarnation system. And there's different levels. You know, they've got the ones that are really high level, and then on and on and on. Hold on a second here. I'm looking at my pages. Figure out my next move here. So, I got Mucho Pagio. Which one shall I do? Kind of like to do it in order. So he shows up. Well, That's later. Starts blasting shit. This is not really finished. I have to finish that page. Probably this one. Yeah, this is gonna be the one. Okay. I did. No idea who Giorgiani is. Well, look up Jason Reza Giorgiani and prepare to have your mind blown. He's extraordinary. He's really, really amazing. Brilliant, brilliant guy. He and Richard Spencer were going to do a thing called the Alt-Right Corporation back in like 2016 or so. And some fuckery happened and the fucking thing fell to pieces. There were millions of dollars involved. He got doxxed, lost his job, blah, 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 blah. And this is what I'm saying is like, is it black magic or something? Is this like Kabbalic magic that like makes everything not work? You know, like how is it that we've been around this long and nothing really works? Like everything somehow implodes. It's not right. It's not fucking right. That's kind of another reason why I'm looking outside the box and saying like, there's got to be another fucking way. You know, I love this song. Holy shit. That was a fucking cool song. Anyway, moving on. Let's read. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Robert, okay, you're not alone. So, again, I'm kind of feeling like Hippocratic Oath. Maybe you and I can do like a convo about this in our group or something. So change it up maybe. There's a Persian Zionist. He was gatekeeping Richard Spencer for a while. He's a philosopher, promotes Prometheus, Mithra. Okay, I'll do some digging, thank you. Maybe we just suck. That is the wrong answer. That is the wrong way to look at this. We don't suck. That is not an attitude of any kind that we need to have. I think most people would agree that we're a group of individuals that like movements require, it's like we have too many leaders. You know what I'm saying? Every leader creates their own following, and then the following, every different group of followers bickers with the other group of followers about, you know, well, my leader is better than your leader, and his methods are better than yours, blah, 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 blah. A lot of it has to do with age. Nick Fuentes appeals to young men. Jason Kuna, I think is more appealing to sort of adult professionals. You know, probably people that have kids and stuff, and you know, homes or whatever. You know, maybe the 30-40 demographic, I guess. There's just, you know, they're all different. You know, everyone's got a different brand. And some, like for example, like what's his name, Joel Davis is more like, that's pretty much for Australia. Like I follow Joel Davis, and I like him a lot. You know, but I don't live in Australia. You know what I mean? So that's obviously kind of something a little more relevant to that, where those people actually meet up and march and this and that and the other thing, you know. I think it's great to, you know, be international. You know, I was just on Mark Collette's movie review show not long ago. He wants to have me back as a regular. You know, what the things that kind of worry me is that like there's no representation in our movement from places like France and Germany. I don't know, is it a language barrier? Are there no influencers in those countries? There was that one Austrian guy that married that one podcaster girl. I'm sure Hippocratic Oath knows who I'm talking about. He was in one of those kind of like German action clubs, like was it something Europa? I forget the name of it. But again, it's a lot of that stuff feels like cult of personality to me, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I'm not trying to insult these influencers. They're important, you know. I gotta change this music. But it's more or less the notion that we as a movement just kind of get behind them and somehow think that just watching their videos and posting memes and shit is going to solve this problem. You know what I mean? So, again, one more reason to try to stretch out and form communities, you know? So, in this case of a community, yes, there can be leaders, there needs to be leaders. And again, that's like, I want to maybe try to create some sort of like instructional manual for our guys, on how to do this locally, But again, the focus is on the community, it's on the people that are being served in the community. And what are they doing? What value are they getting? If you look at like most towns have a senior center. And what's the value of that? Well, seniors get to be with other seniors. They have special programs that they can do that help them with their health. They have advisors that come in and talk about insurance. They've got dance events. They have holiday events, birthday parties. They have resources like computers and pool tables, and they do lunch together. They got a gym of their own. It's a community service. It's kind of like maybe it's something like a library in a way. So like that would kind of be the thinking in a sense. Only again, kind of sneaking in our stuff, I guess. I'm not upset at people being critical of my idea. I don't. That's not wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's more about like when you're critical and you say, well, A, B, C, D, then I'll be like, ah, shit, I didn't notice that. I need to answer for that. Like if you're able to think of something that you don't think is going to work, I had better come up with an answer for that. You know what I'm saying? So you're helping me. You see, this isn't about Donald's ego. It's not like that's not the project. This dude is so fucking. This is what a cartoon villain. I just thought about like the egghead shape kind of. Did you ever see Rothschild's head like from the side? It's got a weird elongated look to it. There's like people that say like it's some sort of reptilian thing or something. Kind of dumb, but sort of funny. Let's read. What do we got? What do we got? Sandman17 is back. Good to have you. Mr. White says, yes, Sellner. Martin Sellner. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's exactly right. In Germany, it's literally illegal. So that answers my question. Tom Sowell, Blair Cottrell. Those guys are all awesome. Seem to be the top white nationalist crew at this point in time in terms of popularity. Plus, they're full-on National Socialists, like unapologetically, which is powerful. He married this hot chick. Yeah, she's gorgeous. She was like a model material. And she had her own kind of like alt-right show that she used to podcast. Government don't care about people in this is the problem. Steal the Social Security conehead. Yeah, he's a bit of a conehead. Oh, sure it is. I'm not shut up and play some music. Bastard. Um, that's a whole other thing. Is like you know, in Europe, there's places where shit's just fucking straight up illegal. It's like straight up illegal. And like, I don't know what we can do from here, but I just have a really strong sense like we need to help these people. Um, this is an international movement, an international cause. What can we do? You know. Mm. I don't know most of them. I guess I'm old school with Greg Johnson. I have a hard time disagreeing with him. Yeah, I know the Davis guy. I'm looking at you, Poland. Yes, well said. I think if Nick was your age, he would talk to Steve Bannon. One Bannon equals 6 million sheeple. So what you're saying is get back in touch with Bannon, is what you're saying. Am I right? Is that your? So now there you go. Okay, see, okay, now you're onto something. You just triggered me. So let's say I do get this thing moving, then I'm back in the game. I got to have a thing, I got to have something to promote. I can, because I still have a photo of me with my arm around Bannon. I could get back in touch with his contact, who I had my contact to hit Bannon, and then be like, hey, buddy, me Irish brother, I've got a bottle of Jameson over here. What are you waiting for? Get on over here. I want to talk to you about some wonderful ideas. So, anyway, that would be, I don't know, should I get him a comb for his hair too, or is that too soon? Maybe that's too soon. I'm kidding. We love you, Bannon. Um, Bannon's always like, it's the banks. I don't think he names. He's not a namer, if you know what I mean. But like, you get a guy like that behind this, because like Bannon, he's not on the Trump train. You know what I mean? He's like he calls out shit. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really followed Bannon recently. I need to kind of get back into that, see what I can learn about the war room, all that shit. Gotta get caught up with him again. I'm not like a like to me. There's a lot of boomer tier stuff that going on there. That's a bit like exhausting to me. I'm not like I don't consume that kind of news, if you know what I mean. But you're right though. You're right. Like if I were to get this idea to him, that would kick things off. That would kick things off. It would have to be, just as I mentioned, it would have to be more of a like, this is an American thing for helping Americans come together as like heritage Americans. and something something. Again, that's the shit I have to work out. You guys have to always try to take into consideration 80% of my fucking mind is trying not to make goddamn mistakes here, okay? I'm talking heavy ass shit with you, but I'm like, I'm doing brain surgery, and they're like, don't fuck up. So it's not when I'm like, oh, don't remember that name. I'm not an idiot, okay? I just can't do 10,000 things at one time. I get mad at myself like I am right now because I wish I could just flow, but I'd have to put the art down and then just talk. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like my normal shows where I have guests on. Like I'm able to just, flow and kick ass. But like, I get frustrated with myself. I'm sorry. Anyway, Van Halen to lighten up the mood here. Remember that thing I told you the other night about passion? Well, that was just a little exhibit of passion right there. David Lee Roth, Jew. So I think I will maybe fast forward a little bit. There is one song in here I do have to play. Mean Streets. It's a fucking cool tune. Oops. Bannon is too fond of the juice. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with it. Is it'd be like he'd be great to market the idea, but that's what this again. I was talking about Trojan horse here. You know what I'm saying? So this idea is to Trojan horse us into the mainstream, frankly, but in an actual IRL way, not like I don't know some kind of putting stickers up somewhere. Not that. Breaking this routine was like you ain't never seen. This character here could be in like Sin City. You guys see Sin City? Like just a sort of like evil cartoon type character. Elijah Wood in Sin City was that was one of the darker parts of the movie. There was this that movie was just a total assault on the senses. I mean, there was just what do they call that? Gratuitous violence. I mean, looking back, I'm kind of like, that movie just took like a giant shit in my brain. Like I don't really need all those images in my mind. But at the same time, is like stylistically amazing. The comic book graphic novel, I think, is exceptional, and if any of you've ever seen it, then you know what I'm talking about. The art style, the it's oh, what's the word for this? It's kind of like groundbreaking, is what I'm trying to say. Um, Let me try to read some comments here. Nick is a Catholic monarchist. He is an elitist. He knows the sheep are to be led and protected, not consulted. So I totally agree with that. Pardon me. I'm not a Catholic monarchist. That's the big difference. Bannon. I think the point is that you need people in power. It doesn't have to be Bannon. You know what, though? If we look back at, hold on. If we look back at this chart thingy that I kind of slammed out, like who, like if someone at Fox News was behind it, or if Trump was behind it, it would it would be like an overnight success. It would be hundreds of millions of people involved. Like all white people in America. I don't want to say all, but like do you hear me? I mean, right? Am I right? Okay, like whatever Trump says, like all the followers will. Oh yeah, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this Heritage American, whatever, this Pan-European club thing. So you know that the concept of trying to do that is a whole trajectory, and I don't have like the brain power right now to even think about that, or whether or not it's even worth trying to do. These faggots in here are gonna block the shit like crazy because it's clearly white, and they're assholes, and they hate us. Ian Carroll, uh, Jake Shields, help me out. Who is the dude? Him and Adam Green got in a huge fight on Twitter. Oh, come on. He's like Jake Shields' tier. He used to be a bounty hunter. He's got tattoos on his arms. He's really super anti-Semitic. Fuck if I remember his fucking name right now. God damn it. And he's like a pretty, very, very outspoken guy. Christian. He used to just be a normie, like Rumble, conservative news dude. And then he got J-pilled, and then he went like full throttle Aristotle. But I don't know. But here's the other thing, though, is like if we don't want this to be racially explicit, then why would we want these people to be promoting it? Does that make sense? It's a conundrum. It's a conundrum. I don't know quite yet. I haven't really gotten that far yet with the idea. So, yeah, sick stuff. Stu Peters. Fuck, you just got a raise, man. You just got a fucking raise, bro. Thank you. That's it. Checks in the mail. Checks in the mail. Stu Peters. Why is it so hard to remember that? Like, I can talk about Gnosticism and, like astral projection and Jason Giorgiani, but what the fuck is the word for Stu Peters? Duh. Like, I'm totally savant, basically. I'm just a fucking savant, that's all. There's nothing more to it. Anyway, let's listen to Ministry and let our anger out. Thieves. This song's called "Burning Inside." It's like one of my favorite songs. Talk about anger, man. You could wreck some shit on that song for sure. Yeah, that sort of thing Donald's talking. That's correct. Stu Peters is a bounty hunter with a big nose and tats. That's exactly right. Kent revives the Ananerbe. Yes. Wow. Hippocratic Oath, you need an Olivia to give you your Adderall. Do I need Adderall? Don't ever let them give me Adderall. Like, I want to be as edgy as possible. I'm like super against all those kind of like calm down drugs. I think they're very, very harmful for people. It's like, oh, give it to children that can't behave. You're not following our Marxist plan, so take these drugs. Um, Robert Pyle says, I forget things all the time when I'm on stream. It happens, your brain lets go retarded when you're on stream. Eh, you know, it's just when I'm drawing. Like, I don't do that when I'm interviewing people. Granted, I prepare, though. Like, I'll take, a couple hours to prepare questions and think through shit and, get graphics or videos set up and this and that. And I'm just like more calm in a sense that like I'm not like not calm. I'm focused totally on the interview. You know what I mean? So while the person's talking, I'm already thinking about the next topic and or like what would be a good question for this what this person's saying. Like the art of the interview, if you know what I mean. Like I to me I think I'm pretty fucking good at it, to be honest. Um, I like things to run in a professional way, which is why I get angry at myself because I want this show to flow. And then when I can't remember a name or something, I get angry because the show isn't living up to the standard that I want. So I'm not like yelling at you guys. I'm yelling at myself, Don't say Adderall. Yeah, I would never ever even consider anything like that. Like to me, I've known people that have been on things of that nature, and it just fucks them up. I mean, it's not to me that's just the medical industry making money off of people's problems, and it doesn't solve the problem. Shit like that's upsetting. Anyway, art is right side of the brain, and we're asking you to use your left side. Oh, thanks, buddy. I thought we were friends. Huh? Huh? No, I don't know. I've heard that that's contested. I don't know 100% if that's actually true, the whole left right thing. But it's a popularly held belief. It's certainly something that teachers talk about a lot in the education profession. Joe Rogan is part of the Eric Weinstein's intellectual dark web. It would, but it still would be cool. So there you go. Like if I were on Joe Rogan, and I could just play along and be like, yeah, let's smoke a cigar or a spliff, and then talk about MMA. It's the best martial art in the world. I'm dumbing down, to fit in his world. Like, yeah, Joe. And everything he says, I feel, oh yeah, oh totally, yeah, you're so right. You're so right about that, Joe. Totally, totally. I can remember this was a while back, but I was out on the dance scene, and there's this like super wacky liberal guy that I know out there. He's a DJ. He's he's okay. I mean, he's just lost. But the whole he's got the whole fashion and all this stuff. And we're chatting, and he's trying to like relate to me. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm into I listen to a lot of different stuff like Joe Rogan." And he like looked at me like I was supposed to go, "You listen to Joe Rogan? Oh my god, I totally relate to you." And I'm like, it's like, of course I didn't tell him what I am or whatever, but it's just funny. Like that's as far as the political uh, spectrum stretches in his mind. Like Joe Rogan is the far right. Think about that. Joe Rogan is the far right. Wow. That's what people think. And that's, again, that kind of points back to the problem that we have is that we're so ghettoized. We have no real representation. Um, there's my buddy Flash Gorgon, who he gets like really mad when he sees people like Candace Owens, in his words, stealing our talking points. Like she gets all the credit for pointing out this and that about the Jews or whatever. And I'm like, you are right. You are fucking right. I will not argue with you. But she's doing the work for us. She's gonna take the. I don't know how that'll all pan out or whatever. If she'll get like droned or something, I don't know. I don't know. But at least it's fucking happening. It is frustrating though. Anyway, let's read a little bit. I think I'm hitting my burnout zone here though, guys. I've been going 2.5 hours. That's a fairly long show. Bears. Let's read. I gotta back up. Talking about mushrooms and bears. Hold on. Oh yeah, mushrooms. Right. So I was like on DMT in my sensory deprivation tank the other day, and like these aliens came. Oh man. Anyway, let's read art. As I read that, Joe Rogan. Talk about mushrooms. I was out in the woods and I was really hungry so late. I ate some mushrooms and then I had a conversation with a bear who told me about stopping anti-whiteism. There you go. That's the segue, bro. Holy shit. Mushrooms for anti-whiteism. Joe Rogan will, I don't know, would he get behind that? Would he get behind that? Crazy. What a timeline we live in, right? What a timeline. Actually, bears do know about these things. That's a good point. I saw this interesting thing. I'm trying to remember what animal it was. I think it's called a lemur. It's a like a weird exotic monkey that lives. I don't know, maybe in Indonesia or so. Who fucking knows where? And they there's these like huge poisonous centipedes. They're like a foot and a half long, and these lemurs will bite them. They don't eat them, but they'll bite them to get like high. Like they get like a psychedelic high from the poison. Anyway, I just saw that on some stupid TikTok or some shit. I'm actually better friends with the crows, but that's like what I said was on Joe. That guy's face looks good. I like it. Yeah, this is the shadows. So here's the problem: is like the art for this comic book gets better and better and better. Like if you compare this to one of the earlier pages, it's like oh shit. What am I gonna do about that? I gotta go back and redo it. Madagascar, dude, Sandman for the fucking win, man. You just got 100 points. I'd like to move. I like to move it. I like to. You're funny. You are funny, Sandman. Let's move on. That guy's face looks good. Read that. He would get behind that if I phrased it like that, or would use interest to build a repertoire with him, so he'll believe what I said. Yeah. Well, gents, wow, what a show. What a show. What a show. What a show. We just solved all the world's problems right here. Look at that. Look at that. Absolutely cray cray. So, I don't know where this is going to go, how this is going to go, but I'm going to work on it. And the thing is, I'm working on it with other people. Apollonian Germ got left off the grid. Yeah, he was never really, you know, huge, but and I don't hate the guy, whatever. Like I think he's a good guy. I like the flow chart. Were you here when I did this, Splattercat? I don't think you were here when I was discussing this. I guess. Anyway, I'll get into it later on our group or something because it's too complicated and I'm too tired. See, I'm so tired. I'm like forgetting names of famous people. See how tired I am? Anyway, I will leave you with this amazing riff. Can you hear that? Ah, 80s. Living in the 80s. 80s. I have to push, I have to struggle. All right, God bless you guys. It's been fun. Don't eat too many mushrooms. Okay. All right. Talk to you.